Hi everyone, this is the Encyclopedia channel. In this section, we will talk about currency wars. What is currency wars? What currency wars have there been in history? What are the dangers? What should we ordinary people do? What is a currency war? Currency war refers to a form of competition in which a country or region adopts policies and measures in the field of international trade and finance to promote the competitiveness and advantages of its own currency relative to the currencies of other countries in order to obtain trade and economic benefits. This kind of competition may include government intervention in exchange rate, interest rate policy, trade policy, capital control, and other means to promote the growth and competitive advantage of the domestic economy by adjusting the exchange rate of the domestic currency, lowering interest rates, and increasing exports. This kind of competition often involves multiple countries and regions, so it is global and complex. While a currency war can bring economic benefits to participating countries, it can also lead to trade and financial tensions, economic imbalances, and instability in the global economic system. Looking back on the past, our world has experienced many currency wars. We have selected several currency war cases to explain in detail to help us deepen our understanding and awareness of currency wars. Currency war between Britain and Germany in the 1930s. The currency war between Britain and Germany was mainly centered in the 1930s, when the German government adopted a series of measures to weaken the exchange rate of the Deutschmark in order to stimulate exports and stimulate economic growth. These measures included weakening the mark's exchange rate by increasing the money supply and lowering interest rates. The British government was concerned because these measures could make German exports more competitively priced, posing a serious threat to British manufacturing. In order to protect its manufacturing industry, the British government has also adopted a series of measures to deal with it. First, the British government, in coordination with other governments, tried to contain Germany's currency-depressing actions. For example, in 1931, Britain and France signed the Stresi Treaty, which attempted to control the flow of European currency and lower the exchange rate of the German currency. However, these measures did not effectively deter German actions. Then, the British government took some unilateral measures to protect its own manufacturing industry. For example, the British government tightened tariffs and quantitative restrictions on goods imported from Germany, and stimulated British exports by lowering the exchange rate of the pound. At the same time, the UK is also trying to improve the competitiveness of its manufacturing industry through domestic economic policies, such as increasing the productivity of the manufacturing industry by increasing labor productivity and encouraging investment. The German government has reacted to the British government's actions by taking similar measures to protect its manufacturing industry. For example, the German government tries to increase the competitiveness of its exports by minimizing the cost of producing goods. In addition, Germany also protects its own manufacturing industry by imposing tariff barriers and restricting the flow of foreign exchange. This currency war ended with the outbreak of World War II. It can be said that this war had a profound impact on the global economy. Currency war between China and Japan in 1937 to 1945. In 1937, Japan launched a full-scale war of aggression against China, and China's banking system and currency system were destroyed, leading to sharp rises in prices and inflation. In order to resist the economic pressure from Japan, the Chinese government took a series of measures to protect the competitiveness of its currency, including issuing a large number of banknotes to support war funds, restricting the circulation of currency, and strengthening the control of the foreign exchange market. However, these measures have also caused serious inflation problems, and rising prices have aggravated the people's living difficulties. At the same time, the Japanese government also took a series of measures to interfere with China's monetary policy, including sending a large number of counterfeit banknotes to China, depreciating the value of China's currency, and increasing the economic blockade against China. Japan's large amount of counterfeit banknotes into China exacerbated China's inflation problem and paralyzed China's economy. In order to counter Japanese interference, the Chinese government had to introduce a new monetary policy in 1940, including the implementation of a monetary tightening policy and the issuance of new legal tender to replace the old currency. At the same time, some measures were taken to combat the circulation of Japanese counterfeit banknotes. However, these measures did not fundamentally solve China's economic problems, and Japan's currency war had a long-term impact on China's economy. It was not until after Japan surrendered that the Chinese economy began to gradually recover. Currency war between the United States and Japan in 1985 to 1987. In 1985, the U.S. government began to question the Japanese government's use of undervalued yen to gain an export competitive advantage, and to protect its currency competitiveness by strengthening control over the appreciation of the yen and restrictions on exporting manufacturing products to Japan. However, these measures have not alleviated the U.S. trade deficit problem. In the same year, the Japanese government announced that it would change its monetary policy from a fixed exchange rate system to a free-floating exchange rate system, which means that the appreciation of the yen will lead to a decline in its export competitiveness. In order to protect the country's export industry, the Japanese government has adopted a series of measures, including lowering interest rates to stimulate the economy, intervening in the foreign exchange market to control the exchange rate of the yen, and so on. The U.S. government viewed these actions as unfair competition for its exports and announced high tariffs on Japan in 1987, among other measures to restrict Japanese exports. The move, known as the Pleito Agreement, stipulates that Japan will increase its auto exports by $100 million a year and limit its exports of other products. The currency war had far-reaching effects on global financial markets and economies, including triggering a stock market crash and a global recession. After that, the international community began to pay attention to the seriousness of the currency war, and some related international agreements and institutions emerged, such as the Group of Seven, the International Monetary Fund, etc., to coordinate the monetary policies of various countries and avoid the outbreak of the currency war. It can be seen that the currency war between the United States and Japan in 1985 to 1987 was based on export competition. The United States has adopted a series of measures to protect its domestic manufacturing industry, while Japan has adopted a series of measures to protect its export industry. The event demonstrated the economic linkages and interdependence among countries and also highlighted the importance of international cooperation and coordination. The currency war between China and the United States in the 2010s. During the 2010s, the U.S. government repeatedly accused China of manipulating its currency policy to gain a trade advantage. The United States believes that China has lowered the cost of export products by artificially devaluing the renminbi, thereby improving the competitiveness of export products in the international market. This has sparked protectionist sentiment towards China in the United States, which has imposed duties and sanctions on goods imported from China. As a result, the trade war between China and the United States broke out in 2018. The U.S. government has adopted a series of trade protectionist measures, including imposing tariffs on goods imported from China. The U.S. government has accused China of unfair trade, such as forced technology transfers and intellectual property theft. This has led to a trade war between China and the United States, triggering uncertainty and turmoil in the global economy. Later, the United States adopted sanctions against Chinese companies and government officials. In 2019, the U.S. government added China's Huawei to the Entity List, prohibiting U.S. companies from providing technology and products to Huawei. These sanctions have sparked a strong reaction from the Chinese government and negatively impacted the global economy. Overall, the currency war between China and the U.S. manifested itself in the 2010s in terms of currency manipulation allegations, trade wars, and sanctions. These issues illustrate the complexity of currency wars and the disputes and competition between countries in the economic sphere. In recent years, currency wars around the world are intensifying day by day, which has brought serious impact and harm to the world economy and ordinary people. These hazards include, but are not limited to: first, currency wars may lead to negative effects such as slower economic growth, higher unemployment, and higher inflation. For example, After the United States announced the abolition of the gold standard in 1971, the currency exchange rates of various countries fluctuated violently, leading to a surge in global inflation. Currency wars can also negatively impact the world economy by causing trade barriers and tariffs to rise, making global trade more difficult and expensive. Currency wars can also lead to exchange rate fluctuations, bringing huge risks and uncertainties to businesses and investors. In the early 2010s, the currency war between China and the United States led to sharp fluctuations in the exchange rate between the RMB and the US dollar, which brought great risks and losses to multinational companies and investors. Many businesses had to face the risk of foreign exchange losses and failure to repay debts on time, and investors suffered huge financial losses as a result. Second, currency wars lead to heightened trade tensions and protectionist sentiment. In 2018, the U.S. government imposed tariffs on imported steel and aluminum products, which led to heightened trade tensions and protectionist sentiment between the U.S. and the European Union. Amid this, other countries have also retaliated by imposing tariffs on U.S. exports, further fueling global trade tensions. This situation has also led to a decline in global trade volumes, affecting both ordinary people and businesses. Finally, currency wars lead to inflation and asset bubbles. In the early 2000s, the U.S. government and the Federal Reserve System adopted a series of loose monetary policy measures, which led to the global financial crisis and serious inflation problems. This situation also led to a sharp rise in the stock market and real estate market, forming an asset bubble that further exacerbated wealth and income inequality. It can be said that the currency war has a profound impact and harm on the world economy and ordinary people. Governments and international organizations should take effective measures to alleviate the impact of currency wars and ensure the stable and healthy development of the global economy and finance. There are many ways we ordinary people can protect our wealth and livelihoods in the face of currency wars. 1. Diversified assets. During the US-China currency war in the 2010s, the Chinese government sold dollars heavily, causing the yuan to depreciate. Many Chinese investors have chosen to diversify their assets and invest part of their assets in overseas markets to diversify risks. For example, some wealthy Chinese choose to buy real estate in the US or invest in the US stock market. These investments can not only resist the impact of RMB depreciation, but also can obtain a higher rate of return. 2. Learn financial literacy. During the euro crisis, public debt in many European countries was high, causing the euro to depreciate. Many people are unaware of the impact this situation has on their property and livelihoods. Therefore, learning financial literacy is very important to protect personal wealth. People can take financial education courses or learn financial literacy online to better understand the impact of monetary policy and currency wars on personal wealth. 3. Observe policy changes. During the Asian financial crisis in 1997, the Bank of Thailand decided to abandon the fixed exchange rate system, which triggered the depreciation of the Thai baht. Many Thai people did not keep abreast of policy changes and missed the opportunity to convert assets into other currencies. Therefore, the public should pay attention to changes in the country's monetary policy and the international economic situation, adjust their investment strategies and asset allocation in a timely manner, and avoid losses caused by policy changes. 4. Invest in the real economy. During the 2008 global financial crisis, the U.S. housing market collapsed, leading to a global recession. Many investors choose to invest in the real economy, such as buying real estate, investing in emerging industries, etc. Investment in these fields can not only reduce investment risks, but also create more employment opportunities and economic growth points for the society. 5. Savings and wealth management. During the Japanese currency war in the early 2000s, the depreciation of the yen led to inflation, and the savings of many Japanese people were affected. Therefore, the public should focus on diversification of savings and investment in order to avoid the risks of currency wars on personal finances. Specifically, people can take the following measures. First, focus on saving and financial planning. People can choose reliable financial institutions, such as banks and securities companies, for savings and financial planning, and try to avoid investing in high-risk financial products. In addition, the public can also adopt a strategy of diversification of investment, diversify investment in different fields and asset types, and reduce investment risks. Second, pay attention to changes in the currency market and adjust investment strategies in a timely manner. The public can pay attention to the latest developments in the currency market, learn about the adjustments of monetary policies in various countries, and adjust their investment strategies in a timely manner. For example, during a currency war, if a country strengthens currency depreciation measures, people can choose to invest funds in financial products with relatively stable currencies in other countries to avoid risks. Finally, improve your own financial quality and risk awareness. The public should learn financial knowledge, improve their financial quality and risk awareness, avoid blindly following the trend of investment, and avoid being influenced by the financial market to make wrong decisions. In short, in the face of currency wars, the public should focus on diversification of savings and investment, pay attention to changes in the currency market, adjust investment strategies in a timely manner, and improve their financial quality and risk awareness to protect their financial security. As for the currency war, this is the end of this issue. Do you have any new views on the currency war? Welcome to leave a message and discuss with everyone.